Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Gershon. This week we are doing another movie review. This is Godzilla vs. Kong, the film we've all been waiting for. The hardcore monster fans, the kaiju fans, the Godzilla fans, the Kong fans. It all comes down to this. You know, the film was originally supposed to come out November of last year, 2020, and we all know what happened last year. You know, we got hit with the whole COVID-19 thing, and so many movies we were looking forward to were delayed, including Godzilla vs. Kong. But thankfully, we finally got it this March, and I was so excited to finally see this movie. I just had to see it in the theater, in the big screen. You know, seeing it on like HBO Max or streaming service was not gonna cut it for me for this movie. You know, I was a little bit hesitant at first going back into theaters because this was my first foray back into theaters. You know. But I feel like the theater I went to, things was set up pretty well. It was pretty safe. They had hand sanitizer everywhere, and, you know, the seats were sectioned off pretty well, you know. It was like 2 seats empty, and then 2 seats filled, and 2 seats empty, so it was pretty well sectioned off, you know. And people kept on their mask until it was time to, like, eat the candy or whatever. It was pretty safe, I thought. I didn't have a problem with it, you know. So Godzilla vs. Kong was directed by Adam Wingard. And this is the 4th film in the MonsterVerse, which was started by Legendary Films. Of course, the first one was Godzilla in 2014. And then we got Kong Skull Island. And then Godzilla King of the Monsters was the last one, which I thought was kind of unfairly maligned. But yeah, I really enjoyed King of the Monsters, but a lot of the critics didn't. So the film stars Millie Bobby Brown, Kyle Chandler, returning from King of the Monsters, and it also has Alexander Skarsgård and Rebecca Hall as this kind of Jane Goodall type character on Skull Island. She kind of is a linguist, and she talks to the animals and talks to Kong and communicates with him, as well as her adopted daughter has like this relationship with Kong. You know, they have kind of a deep bond. You know, they talk to each other. Even Kong does a little bit of sign languages, which is pretty cool. You know. I really like that. I mean, and they really delve into Kong big time in this movie. He's really the central figure in the movie, pretty much. You know, he's the star of the movie, basically. They really get into his background and, you know, where he came from originally, even, you know. And he didn't come from Skull Island. They just keep him there, and, you know, we find out where Kong's origins are, you know, through one of the several subplots of the movie, which is where I think some people might have an issue with the film because there's a few different kind of subplots going on, one being Kong finding out, you know, where his ancestors come from, and where we find out where his true home is, and that kind of sets up this plot where he's trying to, where he finds this weapon, and, you know, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Avengers Infinity War, where Thor has to get the Stormbringer. They make the big axe to take out Thanos with, you know. It's kind of reminding me of that. But still, it was really cool, and, you know, the visual effects on Kong are just incredible. You know, I love when they show him on the big ship, like the helicarrier or whatever that is. You know, and it was some nice callbacks to the original King Kong versus Godzilla from 1963. It followed some of the same beats, which I was happy about. That was cool. Acknowledging the old classic. Because I still love that movie. I still enjoy it, even though all those old, 60s and 70s Godzillas and King Kongs, they were great, but obviously they didn't have the technology we do now, the special effects, which is what makes this movie so great. Because they really went all out with the special effects, and it's just like eye candy, and the sound effects are incredible too. That's why I say you got to see this movie in the theater, the big screen. That's where you need to see it, because, man, I mean, you really get the scope of it, how big this movie is, how much of a grand scale it is, how epic it is, and it really is. Now, like I said, some people may have issues with the human characters because they do take up a good chunk of the movie. And there's a lot of different characters that we meet, and there's a lot of sci-fi exposition going on. And yeah, I'd say this is the most sci-fi out of all the MonsterVerse films, which was kind of surprising. I wasn't expecting that. And they go in some kind of weird direction with that, becomes a very sci-fi towards the middle there. And there's another plot going on where they're trying to get down to the Earth's core, and that has a lot to do with it too, And the Apex organization creates this ship that can go all the way down to the center of the Earth, And we find out also that, Kong's subplot as well kind of connects together with that. And in the middle of it is Godzilla, He knows about it as well, and we see at one point he shows his atomic breath, and he uses it, sprays his atomic breath all the way down, and it shoots all the way down to the Earth's core, the bottom of the Earth, That's how powerful his breath is. I thought that was pretty wild. But man, I just want to say, during the monster fights are everything you dreamed they would be, everything you would hope to see, you see in these battles. Anytime that Kong and Godzilla are on screen together, you just cannot take your eyes off the screen. It's just amazing. I'll say one part that was my favorite scene in the movie is when they're face to face, when they're in the midst of the battle, and they just kind of roar at each other, like, "Roar!" And then Godzilla's like, "Roar!" That was so freaking cool. I was like, yes! I was like a 5-year-old kid, I swear. Because that's what I did when I was a kid, 5 years old, watched all the Godzilla movies all the time, every week, and I watched King Kong vs. Godzilla many times. Yeah, it's so great to see these titans on screen. That's what they call them, titans in the MonsterVerse. The people would refer to them as kaiju, the giant monsters, yeah. And I love the scene in the ship that you see in the preview there when Kong slams his fist on the ship and Godzilla comes up from underneath the water and is like whoosh, It was awesome, awesome stuff, man. And boy, they really go at it. They hold, they don't hold no punches, They don't pull any punches. They go at it 100%. But I will say some of the plot might be a little bit predictable at times, But, you don't go into these films expecting it to be like Shakespeare or something, You want... what you came to see was Godzilla versus King Kong, and they deliver on that beautifully. Like I said, a lot of the it's almost like artistic the way they have like the setup for each fight. It takes place in a different area, like I said, especially the Hong Kong battle is just incredible, you know. And they just tear the shit out of this city, you know. It's like, oh man, Kong grabbed Godzilla's head and smashed him right through an entire building, like, oh man. And boy, Godzilla certainly gets his licks in as well. You know, at one point he's like stomping on Kong's chest, and it's like insane. It's awesome. And yeah, he gets to use his atomic breath. And man, does he do some serious damage with that. Yeah. But yes, there is, towards the middle of the film, we find a huge spoiler, you know, on that I don't want to give away just yet. I want to do a spoiler-filled review next, which I'm going to talk about that, you know. Because we have to talk about that. It's like the elephant in the room. It's huge, you know, especially for longtime fans of both franchises, you know. It's something you've always wanted to see in the big screen, especially with today's visual effects, and it's really, really cool. So definitely want to talk more about that. So guys, bottom line is definitely go see Godzilla vs. Kong, especially if you're a fan of monster movies, kaiju movies, you know, giant monster battles. That's what you're gonna love. And as you know from watching all the old Godzilla movies, you know, we don't usually care too much about the human characters or whatever. They're just like there, you know. So that's no different in this movie, you know. So it's kind of a throwback to those old 50s and 60s and 70s Godzilla movies, where you don't really give a damn about the human characters. Although it is kind of interesting at times, the jumbling of plots, you know, there's so much going on, you know. But a lot of it involves Kong, so you get to see King Kong a lot in this movie, you know, and that's a good thing. And he's handled so well. I mean, they give great care to King Kong's character. I mean, boy. Which, you know, I have to say Godzilla is almost kind of in the background at times. I wish he was a little bit more prevalent, but he is definitely prevalent in the in the fight scenes. But yeah, definitely Kong vs. Godzilla is a great monster movie. That's the best thing I can say about it, and what more could you possibly want from a monster movie than what they deliver here? I think it delivers on everything they set out to do. I think Adam Wingard does an excellent job in direction. I mean, it's just amazing. I can't say enough about the visual effects. They're just absolutely phenomenal. The best I've ever seen, probably, in my life. You know? So I think Godzilla vs. Kong should get an Oscar for visual effects, if nothing else. And I give Godzilla vs. Kong 2 devil horns way up. Definitely go to see it on the big screen. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Gershon, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.